Members, it's really the appointed time and we've formed a quorum. May I call the meeting to order? Please join. I invite the administration to join us. We are going to do a clause-by-clause scrutiny.
Hi, hello, Susan.
Good morning. On the 15th of May, members comment on the 6 pieces of subsidiary legislation that requires positive vetting and also another one that requires negative vetting. And there are also a number of issues related to the rescue arrangement, enforcement, and insurance matters of the Hong Kong-Macao Bridge, and we'll refer them to the Transport Panel for follow-up, and it will decide whether public hearing is needed. We'll now go to a clause-by-clause scrutiny. We will use the Chinese text as our reference, and can I invite the administration to walk us through the legislation? Thank you. Chairman, we have a number of subsidiary legislation. I suggest we go through the schedule on road tunnels, government ordinance, and also a road traffic ordinance, because they are on the tunnels. So I suggest we go through this, please. Paper CB 4107 1617 bracket 08. There's a marked up copy prepared by the administration. First, we want to amend Schedule 1 to add 2 tunnels, and that is the Scenic Hill Tunnel and also the Airport Tunnel. Because these two are government-operated tunnels, they will be added to the schedule so that the 2 ordinances will apply to these 2 tunnels as well. Okay, members, do you have questions? If not, next. Another one is CB 4107/1617 bracket 03, government tunnels. Road tunnels government legislation. We will first deal with the interpretation to add the far left and far right lane, and we've also added road. The hill, the Scenic Hill Tunnel there. So, and for the leftmost tunnel is the Scenic Hill Tunnel. Any question? No, please go on. The third one, we've added 3 traffic signals under the number 2567 of Schedule 1, and therefore in Schedule 3, in Section 3 we have to add these 3 figures. Members, any questions? Next, please. Thank you. Section 8 and 8A. 8 and 8A. There are some restrictions. In tunnels, for instance, buses and lorries have to go to the most left lane, and that is the slow lane. We've added 8A in right driving tunnels. Lorries and buses will have to use the rightmost lane. So it's just a switch of sides. Any questions? Legal advisor, any questions, please? Yes, please go on. Section 15 and 18. We've added 8A, Section 8A, and therefore in Sections 15 on exemptions, we have to add Section 8A appropriately. Okay, any questions, comments from members? Please go on. Thank you, Chairman. Section 19, also a consequential amendment. In Section 3, we've added 3(1)(c), and so here we have to add 1(c) as well to Section 19. Any question or comments, members? If not, please go on. We have to amend Schedules 1 and 2. In Schedule 1, we've added new road markings and also traffic signs for right-hand tunnels. And for 20 or Schedule 2, we have added tolls and fees. For tolls and fees, we've added the Airport Tunnel and the Scenic Hill Tunnel. Any comments, please? Please go on. Yes, please go on. 3740, can I defer to Crystal? Yes, this is number 2 of road traffic public vehicles 2017. Now, if we do not introduce this, then there may be over or undercharging of these tunnels. So we have introduced the commencement date, and that is the 20th of August 2017. That is Cap 374 Sublect D. CB 41007 1617 bracket 04. Members, do you have questions or comments? No? Legal advisor, do you have any view on the foregone Sublect? Chairman, we have compared the English and Chinese text, and the two are in alignment.
Next one is 2017 vehicle registration and CB4 1007 1670 bracket 05, and the amendment is after the Zhuhai Hong Kong Macao Bridge. It regulates the taxis and includes the traffic interchange, and the effective date is December 15, 2017, from Tuen Mun to Chelau Kok Link and northbound, southbound. It's not completed yet, so when this link road is completed, the Transport Housing Secretary will issue a gazette notice and issue the commencement date. And on this part, we need to have the negative vetting to implement the regulation. So that is the commencement date. Well, I'd like to ask if it takes effect on December 2017, so construction site workers, they can take the public transport to the above location. Is that correct? Yes. Do you have any questions, members? If not, let's continue. In the amendment regulations, Section 3 is amendment to Schedule 7, and that is related to NT and Langtao taxis. In Section 3 and Section 4, it is related to NT taxis, and Section 5 is about the Langtao permit scope. Any questions? If not, let's continue. So that concludes it for this part. Legal advisor, anything to add? Chairman, nothing to add. Similarly, we have checked the English version. It is equivalent to the Chinese version. So let's move on to the next piece of legislation. The next piece is Road Traffic Control Regulations, CB 4107/1617(06), and Clause 2 is interpretation. It deals with right-hand drive, and we're referring to the link road in the Hong Kong Zhuhai Macao Bridge. And since we also added some signs, so we need to add some signage descriptions. Any questions? If not, let's move on. Next, we amend section Clause 10. We have box junctions. They're not allowed to wait unless they're waiting to turn right. So if they are driving right on the right-hand side, we still have a yellow box requirement. They cannot stop in the yellow box unless they're waiting to take a left turn. So it's just a change from left to right. Any questions? We can move on. Clause 11 is double white lines. We have some requirements regarding double white lines. Under certain circumstances, they can turn right, and if they are on the right, driving on the right-hand side, it's similar. They can drive through the right side of the continuous white line. Any questions? If not, let's continue. Okay. Clause 12 is bus line, a bus lane. We now have two new traffic signs, so here we have a consequential amendment, 164A and 164. Let's continue. Clause 13 is studs. We have some color requirements for the studs. Red is for the left-hand side. And since we're driving on the right, we need to make some amendments to include on the right-hand drive. So red studs will be on the right-hand driving lane as well. So it's just an amendment from left to right. Well, I want to ask on mainland vehicles, when they enter Hong Kong territory, are the studs the same? Well, on the mainland, they have their own laws, and they will be using their own colors. So after the boundary, it's different. Yes, because we're talking about the Hong Kong Link Road. Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, let's move on. Clause 52, we have a small amendment. It refers to the commissioner. They can operate the equipment. So now we amend it to the commissioner approving any person, the operator. They can operate the equipment. Any questions? If not, let's continue. Clause 59, we also have some consequential amendment. In the schedule, we added some new signs. So we need to add directions here to the legislation. Okay, any questions? Let's continue. And then we have amendment to some schedules. We have 3 schedules, for Schedule 1, 2, 3, and we have some signage for right-hand drive. They need to add some signage, some signals, and some existing signs. We had to add some descriptions. Left hand, we have to amend it to extreme left. If not, let's continue. Leftmost. So we continue. Cap 374Q. We have bracket 07, and we need to define the highway on the right-hand side. It's Hong Kong Link Road, and we also include definition for left to right. So before we start, do we have any questions regarding the previous section? And regarding Cap 374G, we had checked that the Chinese and English match, and we also had looked at the legislation on driving right and driving left. We had checked, so the amendments are matching each other. So let's move on to subsidiary legislation Q. As I mentioned, we have to change some definition, rightmost lane and Hong Kong Link Road being a highway and so on. Any questions? Let's continue. Then we move on to clause 8. We now have defined the driving direction. We have a dividing line and they have to drive on the right hand side, since we now have a highway on the right. So the dividing line, they have to be driving on the left of the dividing line. So any questions regarding that? If not, let's continue. So clause 11 and 11A. On 11, we say that if we have to prohibit heavy goods vehicles, private bus on the fast lane, that is the rightmost lane. But for right-hand drive, the highway, we have to include the new 11A, and we restrict buses, goods vehicle on using the leftmost lane. So it's a change from right to left. Are you restricting provisional licenses? Well, provisional licenses are not allowed to drive on the highway. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Let's continue. So, moving on to clause 12 and 12A. Clause 12, unless they are overtaking, they have to be confined to the leftmost lane. Now, since if it's a right-hand drive highway, we have to include section clause 12A. So, on the right driving expressway, traffic is confined to the rightmost lane. It's just a change from left to right. Any questions? If not, let's continue. And then clause 13 and 13A. In the existing 13, we prohibit overtaking on the left. And on right-hand drive, we have to include 13A. We have to prohibit overtaking on the right. Any questions? Let's continue. Clause 23 and 26, we have included 11 and 11A and 12A. So in 23 and 26, we need to add some reference numbers. Any questions? If not, we can continue. Yes, Chairman. And then we have to amend Schedule 1 and 2. In the schedule, we have two traffic signs, figure 905 and 906, where they can continue, proceed right or keep right. Legal advisor. Well, members can take note that according to the rightmost lane, they have a drive on the right. So in 123 bracket 1, Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macao link, we are now referring to cap 123 of the road traffic regulations, clause 2, because according to road traffic cap 123, the director of the transport department can define which highways are highways, and we want members to take note that up till this moment, the Gazette notice has not been issued, so members can consider whether we need to know when it will be gazetted and which portion is the defined highway. Well, let me answer that. Well, our thinking is that we're talking December this year. We will make this gazettal notice, and we want the subsidiary legislation to be endorsed, and then we make the designation. We can designate the highway, and we're talking about Hong Kong Link Road and the highway. So, let's say we endorsed the subsidiary legislation and it has not taken effect, then what about this interim period? They will... it will take effect on 15th of December. So in December, we will make the designation. and it will take effect on the same date. They will proceed step by step. Let's continue. Chairman, the next legislation. Anything regarding legislation, subsidiary legislation Q? There's no further question. And the same as before, the Chinese and English match. Thank you. Let's go to the next item. We are now at the fixed penalty, CB4 107 bracket 09. And these are consequential amendments. We have 11, 12, 13. That's some fixed penalties, and since we added to 12A and 12, so here we need to add 11A, 12A, and 13A, and the addition, the fines and penalties will be the same in 11, 12, or 13. Any questions? If not, let's continue. This amendment, that would conclude that. We just added the three sections. Any question, legal advisor? The Chinese-English match and the penalty is the same. There's no change. Okay.
So we've completed the scrutiny of the subject. Now for legal notices 60 to 65 for negative vetting. As I said at the last meeting, we're going to extend the deadline for moving extending the deadline for moving amendments to the 14th of 6th, and if that is successfully done on the 24th of May sitting, then the deadline for giving notice will be the 6th of June. And if that cannot be done, then the deadline will be the 25th of May. Now, for the subject that requires positive vetting, can you tell us when you are going to give notice? Assuming that the scrutiny period can be extended, our intention is to move the resolution for CAP 240 on the 28th of June sitting. So the deadline for giving amendment is the 21st of June. All right, if there are no other amendments, then I'm going to report to the House Committee on the 2nd of June, the work of the subcommittee. So do members have any comments on these? AOB? No, then the scrutiny is completed. Thank you very much.